Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of The Real Show, where we are just one Saturdays away from July 15th, the next installment of Duke City Championship Wrestling, live from the historic El Rey Theater. I, of course, am Freddie Fame, alongside me, Hobo Hank, and the commish himself, Chris Burnett. Welcome, boys. How are you?
I'm
Great.
doing good.
Yeah, doing really good, man. Excited about the show. We're almost
Super
there.
excited. Yeah.
I'm going to take this banner off the top of my head and we're going to continue on. Yeah, there's been a lot of really good feedback. Obviously, the date is working well for a lot of people. I didn't realize there would be such an excitement, boys, about putting an event on a Saturday. Obviously, we had communicated trying to do a lot of Thursdays moving forward, and we will. We'll obviously go back to that formula, but we snuck a little Saturday show in here because that's kind of what the schedule allowed. And yeah, people have a buzz about it. They're excited to do pro wrestling on a weekend.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's cool for we would like to do Thursdays. I think that's going to be our go-to night for the most part. Yeah. But I also think it's important, as early as we are in our journey, if we can introduce ourselves to more fans that maybe can't get out on a Thursday night, if they fall in love with what we do, I think they're going to find a way to get there on Thursday night. So, yeah, mixing it up a little bit. I think it'll be fun.
Hey, Saturday nights are for wrestling, man. 6:05 Eastern. On TBS, they used to do Saturday night wrestling every Saturday, man. So why not in Albuquerque?
The commissioner, Chris Burnett, joining us for the first time on The Real Show. Chris, thank you for making the time tonight. Obviously, we live a life outside of wrestling promotion. It takes a little bit of effort sometimes to make this happen. So thank you for making that effort. Chris, as you're moving throughout the community, we've been having a lot of talks off the air about wrestling and kind of the resurgence of it here in Albuquerque. So it's not just been the product that we've created with Duke City Championship Wrestling, but the fandom is coming from everywhere. We've talked about fans coming from all the way across the state. We're talking about promotions that aren't ours that people are confusing us with. What is the best way, Chris, for Duke City Championship Wrestling fans to get a hold of our content? What is the best way, Chris, for Duke City Championship Wrestling fans to just make sure they're aligned with the right organizations?
Well, we have all of our social media accounts, and you can go right to DukeCityChampionshipWrestling.com, and we have a tab there where you can click on it, and it goes to all of our meeting, our Twitter account, our Instagram account, our TikTok account, which we haven't put a lot on there yet because we don't have a lot of content yet for it,
right.
But that's going to happen. So I would say go to any of those social media sites. We kind of open the floodgates here, and now, I'm not saying people are trying to ride our coattails, but hey, people saw that there is a hunger for wrestling in New Mexico and Albuquerque, and that's a good thing, I think.
I'll tell you what's kind of funny. I was driving around town today at the time of this recording, July 5th, the day after the 4th of July, and there was a high school wrestling team that was selling fireworks as a fundraiser, and people were sending me pictures of like poster boards up around town where it was like fireworks to support wrestling. Like I guess that's us. I guess we're like, what? Thank you for thinking of us, but no, it was just like a high school fundraiser. Too much fun. From the live chat, thank you for everyone joining us live on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. This one is from YouTube. Big hello from British Columbia, Vancouver. So love that.
Wow.
Big thank you to Lurvy, who has a hunger for independent pro wrestling. Hey, local promotions to me is just such a fun way to tell stories. It's such a fun way to connect with your community. We're going to continue at July the 15th at the historic El Rey Theater, as we're once again partnering with the YMCA Central New Mexico. They're going to be man area concession stands. So we're going to put a really good project in the ring, and we're going to help a part of the community that helps others. So we're excited for that. Hobo Hank, talk a little bit about this upcoming July the 15th. Talk about what we're most excited about and talk about what fans are expecting to see.
Fred, I think we talked a little bit on the last Real Show. We walked through what the event's going to look like, but we got a lot of feedback about the first event. The majority of it was very favorable. Our fans told us that they loved what they saw. They loved the format. They loved the people they saw. So we took all that, and then we got some feedback too. What they'd like to see more of. So we definitely we heard loud and proud that you want tag team matches. So that'll be our main event that night. It'll be Thunder and myself versus Charlie 50 in Phoenix. And of course, Veronica Vega will be back for that one. We've upped our game, I think, from a merchandise standpoint. So we'll have more merchandise, more diversity in the merchandise arena, both from the brand itself, Duke City Championship Wrestling, but also from some of the individual competitors. A lot of the competitors that you saw the first night that you loved so much will be back, along with some new faces. So I'm gonna bring in a little bit, just a little more diversity there as far as the actual wrestlers go. And what else? I think from our angle, the biggest difference is going to be just a format for television. So we're shooting to get those Saturday morning shows up and running, 30-minute episodes. So look forward to that to kick off on ProView this coming month.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. Back at the house talk, which is the whole reason we have the show, is the belt's in, boys. We got the championship belt. It's in our possession. We physically own it. We physically have touched it. I don't know when it's going to make its debut canon-wise. I don't know when we're going to debut it to the audience and the fandom of Duke City Championship Wrestling. You guys have not seen it in person yet, but
not yet.
This thing is a beaut. We put a little teaser on the imagery up for this live stream right here. There's like a level of validity with that, right, Hobo Hank? You've been in a lot of promotions that don't necessarily have a piece of hardware at the top as nice as what we have.
Agreed. I've been the world champion for a couple of organizations over the years, and
Humble brag.
just the belts that come with that aren't always as impressive as the title, but this one it looks amazing. I can't wait to see it in person. Just the case it came in is pretty cool. So, I think what you're going to see from Duke City Championship Wrestling is the respect for that championship that it deserves. I think under most circumstances, the champion goes on last, and that belt is really what it's all about. So, we're going to debut it in the right way, in a big way, and we'll have other championships to go along with it. Not to downplay the importance of a possible tag team championship or other titles that we may have at different times.
Chris, talk a little bit about the social media impact. Talk a little bit about fans, not just from the state of New Mexico, but from maybe surrounding areas, and how they've reached out to us and their level of excitement. Are you just deflecting performers left and right that want to be a part of this thing?
Yeah. So, let me just looking at the chat here. We have someone from Vancouver, British Columbia. We're in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You couldn't be on farther parts of, we're on the other side of North America.
Right.
And, we've had, let me tell you this. I've had people reach out to me through social media. I've had people walk up to me in the street and tell me that they have relatives that are trained and ready to come and wrestle. And it's awesome. When, I didn't know what the floodgates were going to be like, and we had one show, and boom, you have people from all over that are like, hey, this is who I am. And, I send them to the person who books the show, and I say, hey, thank you for reaching out. And, here's the avenue that we go through. And it's kind of been pretty much nonstop since we did our first show.
You guys know I'm very good friends with Brandon Ortega, who's the local sportscaster here in Albuquerque, the NBC affiliate KOB. He said after they ran our story for Duke City Championship Wrestling, that because he was in like broadcast television in Texas for a lot of years, so many pro wrestlers sent him like tapes of them, like YouTube tapes, and they're like, hey, get these over to Fred. And then, so as Brandon's talking to me, he's saying, what are you looking for in a wrestler? And I'm like, well, I don't really know anything. I know what I think is entertaining. I was like, what we're looking for is Joe's opinion. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
I don't really know, but yeah, it's kind of funny how all access in all different ways. And years ago, I got into pro wrestling with a friend of mine, who I guess he doesn't care if I use his shoot name. So Tyler. So my friend Tyler. And that's where I first started broadcasting pro wrestling in a local promotion. And he called me a couple weeks ago and he says, hey, loved your YouTube stuff, loved what you're doing. It would be full circle for me to be able to come out and be a part of the product. And I was like, it would be. Like, this is, how incredibly correct that idea is. So, Yeah, just kind of fun how it's not just opening a lot of doors, or I guess that's not really the best analogy, how it's not just a new chapter in a book that we're writing. It could be the final chapter in a lot of other stories as well. So cool medium, cool outlet. Social media has been great. Ticket sales are doing really well, guys. So if you haven't got a chance yet, dccwtickets.com for a July 15th show. Come and see the boys live at the El Rey. We're going to have fun basically all night long. It's 6 o'clock doors. 7:30 will be the ring bell. And Joe, we have a new ring bell.
We do. Brand new ring bell. It was shipped to me a couple days ago, and it's ready to roll. Like I said, we took feedback. Everything that we heard and everything that we wrote down, we tried to act on it, guys. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to, I use the word plus it up, but that's always been a big thing to me. Is every time, celebrate your wins, but then take your notes and plus it up as you go, and that's really what you're going to see.
We're going to add a cool video element as well. Just bought a new projector, so we're excited to take
Nice.
advantage of that during the live. The live event, I want it to have equal value too, but I almost wanted to exceed what we're going to put on the YouTube series and the television show, because it's special. You want to make it can't miss, and like Joe said, if it's +1, or in the industry I work in, you say give them the pickle, So if somebody asks for an extra pickle, you just give it to them. And we're going to do our absolute best here in the next home one. Also, from the live chat on the broadcast, Lurvy 1963 says they have a rich history of watching another local promotion that was here in town over the past weeks, and they're excited to see all these familiar faces back. Joe, is that a conversation you're having with individuals around the community on what organization that was previously here, and now we're able to continue the story of professional wrestling, but under the Duke City Championship brand?
Oh, absolutely. There's guys that are synonymous with Albuquerque wrestling,
Yeah.
other than myself, and to be able to bring them back and showcase them in a big way is huge. The name Duke City Championship Wrestling, right? That's Albuquerque. We wanted to represent Albuquerque in every way possible.
Well, I mean, we have Mosh Pit Mike and we have Thunder. They're both from previous.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these guys, either made their debut in other organizations, or, some of them were even setting up the ring in old organizations.
Yeah.
They hadn't gotten to the point where they were trained or in the ring yet. So I've known a lot of these guys for many, many years. And you'll see more. There's going to be more of them. That's, what you were talking about earlier, Fred. That's probably the hardest part of my job. Is we've got so many people that want to be a part of this. Chris and myself are both getting messages almost daily of wrestlers that want to come in. And I'm having to remind them, number one, this is our second show, right? So don't get too disappointed that I haven't used you yet. We just got started. We'll probably get to you, and there's only a certain number of spots on each show, and storylines and this and that. There's a lot to keep in mind, plus budgets, and everybody has to be licensed and blood test, and so it's a delicate balance that I'm working with. But we've got a lot of talent in and around the Albuquerque area, and we'll continue to tap into them and bring in some folks from out of town. I want to showcase some of the surrounding talent.
Well, this might be me trying to meld two industries together, and I might be wrong here, but you guys know I have 20 years in talk radio. I have 20 years in sports broadcasting, and the guys that get the most opportunity here are the guys that are most present. So I would say if you do have a level of interest in Duke City Championship Wrestling, and not just performing in the ring, I'm talking like, say you have a graphic design idea, say you have like a critique, because we love critiques. Like we're not of a soft skin nature, the three of us specifically, and Aaron Burnett, who could not be joining us tonight. But if you have those ideas, come and be present. Come to the shows. Like tell us in person, because I'm gonna tell you right now, the value of me hearing you in person versus you sending me a Facebook message request, thing that I might not see, it's insanely different, and it's easy to come see us. It's dccwtickets.com. We have ticket. I think the GAs are going for as cheap as $20, boys. Still a handful of seats left in the premium. Otherwise, as close to ring as you can get, those are basically all gone. So people are scooping them up regularly, and if you don't already have yours, I would say 4th of July is over. Do not wait. You're going to come anyways. Get them sooner than later. Show up early. We're going to have some fun stuff going on. I know we got a plan for the national anthem. So it's going to be a good little evening, July 15th at the historic El Rey Theater. Also, we're excited to have people there for our first formatting for television, because the way that Hobo Hank described it is we're going to be creating 4 episodes of the program over the course of one night. And for you to be able to be there, and what's that going to do, guys? That's going to re-energize every, Joe, 30 minutes, 45 minutes? It's going to be like we're starting afresh again. And I think that might be a really cool energy for a house audience.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, it's going to be unique in the fact that you're seeing so many shows filmed at one time, and as we go, I think things will evolve to the point where I mean, even this show, we have a match that's scheduled that will not be televised. So if you want to see the show in its entirety, you've got to come down to the El Rey, and that's by design. We want you there, right? Obviously,
Right.
That's the bread and butter to our business, is the live house, and that's where the most interaction from our fans is. So we want that. But moving forward, you're not going to see every match on television. So got to buy a ticket, come on down and see us.
From the live chat on the live stream, hey, Hobo, you better take a shower before July 15th, or you can rescue yourself into that homeless shelter.
Wow. Charlie 50 taking a shot.
Charlie 50 here unannounced and uninvited.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, if I remember from the last show, I wasn't the one that needed the shower as much. Tell Veronica to take a shower.
That's, oh gosh.
Yeah.
There was a showering of booze. Is that the showering that you're referring to with Charlie 50? Because I heard that I was familiar with.
There was. He was showered with booze, and I have no doubt that he will be welcomed back to Albuquerque in the same way.
There's literally no doubt in my mind.
Right.
And as far as like a antagonist to a protagonist in a story, I don't know if we could have found a better juxtaposition between Hobo Hank and Charlie 50. One easily lovable, the other one Charlie 50. Like, for the crowd to be able to share their opinion, not just so immediately, but so vocally and so enthusiastically. And then for Charlie 50 to almost, and I was surprised by this, guys, almost seemed energized by it.
Oh, yeah.
There was I don't know necessarily if the crowd was doing Hobo Hank a favor by putting that kind of negative reinforcement on Charlie 50, because he used it as a real motivator.
He did. He was enjoying the hate, I think, which is probably why he was so eager to come back and do it again. That match was pretty special, man. And I'm really excited to get back in there and do it again. And I couldn't ask for a better tag team partner. I've got Thunder in my corner. We've been running around for over 25 years together. How special of a night is that for me to stand in the El Rey in front of hundreds of people with my, the guy's like my brother. So I can't wait. Next week can't get here fast enough.
Mr. Happy joining us in the live chat. He is saying hello. Thank you to he. Also, this is a lot of fun here from Carlos Candelaria. Charlie 50 has the El Paso stack. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that stack or stank?
Probably
stank?
Both.
Probably.
Yeah. Also, hey, that's the thing I'm learning too about the social media world of independent wrestling promotion is the promos never stop. It is these guys, if they see each other's name on a comment thread anywhere, they immediately follow each other. They immediately feed back to each other. And then the supporters on both sides, it's almost like political parties, boys. Like the supporters on both sides are so very vocal in giving you the yays or the nays or the cheers or the jeers associated with both parties. And it's an enthusiasm that I'm glad we were able to spark and just watch these flames flume. Stank is the correction from Carlos.
Yeah, and I mean, as a commissioner, I want to call it down the middle, but one thing you don't do is you don't come into New Mexico and start talking about our food, especially our green chili. So, I mean, people are not going to be happy about that.
There was me and Hobo Hank were talking about this on an episode you weren't with us, Chris, where you're mid-ring and you're telling the story about your involvement in Duke City Championship Wrestling, and you're talking to an audience that was already familiar with you. So what a cool image and energy for you. And Charlie 50 comes out and he interrupts you. And as he interrupts you and he's telling everyone what he thinks of you and what he thinks of this city, there's a moment where, and it's caught on camera, clear as day, where you are in the corner of the ring and you're just ear to ear grinning. Yeah,
and I know what's coming. I know what's happening. I knew what was going to happen. I was like, you're going to say the wrong. People in New Mexico are passionate people. Yeah, and I knew that if he attacked our car culture, he said our women were obese, and then I was like, in my mind, I'm like, don't do it. And then he attacked our food, and as soon as that happened, someone hit him in the face with food, and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, don't do this. There's going to be repercussions. That's all I could think in my mind. And he did it. So.
Too weird. Just a weird little night. Joe, you're talking a little bit about the new merchandise we're going to have at the next event. Obviously, the T-shirts. We're efforting hoodies. We believe we'll have them by July the 15th. Stickers are on their way as we speak. We got new hats already. You guys saw them. They look bangers.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff. So if there is a piece of swag, if there's a piece of whatever that Duke City Championship Wrestling fan wants that we don't currently have, let us know. We'll do our best. If we can acquire a bunch of them, we'll acquire a bunch of them. I just threw a DCCW logo on a hoodie the other day. I thought it looked real nice. So we're excited to really up that game and get a recognizable brand that's going to go all kinds of places. So thank you to the fans that have been a part of that. And obviously we're going to keep everything real affordable. We know what this thing is. We want you to be able to come out with a family of 4 and leave with a regular amount of money spent and eat while you're there and buy a souvenir while you're there and just give a lot of support. So thank you to everyone who made the effort the first time. Thinking everyone's going to come out for the first time next time. DCCWtickets.com. Get your tickets now for the program on July the 15th, live at the historic El Rey Theater, 6 p.m. doors, 7:30 is the first bell. We have 8 total matches, Joe. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're looking at eight for the night. Just to, again, cut it up for the television episodes. Basically think of it in terms of 2 episodes per show for the most part. That'll give us a little bit of time to do some promos. We're excited to debut our back of house interview, I guess, or ring announcer. I don't know, Mean Gene Okerlund, right? That's what we could think of.
A newest addition to the commentary team. What phrasing do you use there?
I don't know, backstage commentary, whatever. It's going to be fantastic because he's going to get an opportunity to interview some of our talent and get to know them a little bit better. So that'll be part of the broadcast as well.
And Fernando will be joining us next week on the Real Show as well. So Fernando Gonzalez will be our new mic guy, and we're excited to have him hold the stick in front of a couple wrestlers, and hopefully he can maintain control because you guys know how tough that position is and how it can get out of hand when you've got a guy who's either excited about an upcoming matchup or maybe didn't have the outcome in one previously. So we think he's going to be able to do it. He's got a famed voice. He's obviously worked with Geeks Who Drink forever. He's just a world of talent, big pro wrestling fan, and hopefully he can bring his professionalism to what we're doing. So we're excited absolutely about that aspect. Big party at Inside Out also afterwards. So we're going to be hanging out after Duke City Championship Wrestling on the 15th. So hang out with your boys. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. Is it official, Joe? Are we going to bring out the ladies on the 15th?
Buy a ticket. We'll see. There may or may not be women on this card. But we'll find out that night, and if there's not, I'm sure they'll be here in the near future.
It's the only question I get asked. First show, this is from Carlos Candelaria. First show, me and my son, who have supported Hobo Hank and Mosh for years and other promotions. This show, I have 6 ringside tickets for friends and family, and they are ready to rock. You know what we need to do, boys, is we need to do some sort of prize. We need to do some sort of, and I'm just talking off the top of my head here. We didn't prepare anything. We need to do some sort of, if you were there, maybe we have Adam Merrick do it or whoever, but best sign of the night, best costume of the night. We need to have that thing. And Joe, I know you've seen this kind of, and I apologize to everyone. I'm breaking the fourth wall. Joe is Hobo Hank. Hobo Hank, you've seen lots of these things do really well at different promotions across your time as a pro wrestler. We'll identify something, but let's do that. Let's create an incentive for people to come out. If we're giving away a t-shirt or if we're giving away a signed something, I think that might be a lot of fun for the people in attendance.
Oh, you bet. I mean, it's kind of it's a hard one. Excuse me. The signs are tough because they block the view of the people behind them, but they're also such a huge part of the show, right? It's amazing the creativity that goes into these things and just the communication value. And so I urge people to bring the signs, but then, during the match, please just keep them down so we can see the action, that people don't get robbed of what they paid for. A quick shout out to Carlos, Carlos Candelaria. I've known him since high school. Good guy, wrestling. We were on the wrestling team years and years and years ago.
Oh, I love it.
And he's been to many, DWO events over the years, and now he's obviously a hardcore DCCW fan. So appreciate you, brother. Look forward to seeing you and your whole crew.
I'd say to anybody out there that I get asked the sign thing quite a bit. My thing is coming out, have fun, bring your signs, be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch the wrestlers. Don't get crazy. but have fun. Absolutely have fun. That's but be respectful of other people. Don't let your fun ruin someone else's fun.
Oh, I agree with that completely. Yeah, it's like, don't harm yourself, don't harm others, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. But I'll be the first one to say too, I'm not the type who can tell anyone how to have fun. Like
Right.
if 6 of them with your buddies ringside, like Carlos, is the way where you think you're gonna have the best night, you absolutely are gonna have your best night. If it's also 2 of your buddies and your GA and you're able to work around the room and have a lot of fun, do that as well. There's so many different ways to consume what we believe to be a really good product. And we would encourage everyone just to do that because that's what this thing is built for. It's literally built for everyone. Also joining us now. Okay, here we go. I tell you, we can be saying so many positive things in a row. We can just be having the best time. If anyone is caught looking at Veronica Vega, according to Charlie 50, they need to be prepared to catch these hands.
Well, if anybody looks at her too closely, they might turn to stone. So I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal.
The seduction of Medusa is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
It's you ever placed a value on a thing that might just not be accurate? You ever?
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
That's This is like a Texas thing, though, right? It's like we're trying to do this fun thing here. We got Charlie 50.
So I remember when I told you a few shows back, like how I knew Charlie was just unlikable.
His face. You said his face.
His face. He had an unlikable face.
Is it a punchable face? Punchable face?
There it is. So it looks like he likes unlikable faces too.
Okay. Yeah. Good take. Good.
Yeah.
Carlos Candelaria says in response to Charlie 50, that'll be a hard pass, bro.
Wow.
So we're excited for Carlos and his group of 5+ to engage with Veronica Vega ringside. Ringside's it's going to look a little bit different on July the 15th. We're bringing in some big trusts, guys. So we're upping our production value a little bit. Very excited about that. So we're going to bring in the oversized industrial look. We're going to do some overhead lighting. This is going to help with the TV product a lot. We think it's only going to intensify the live as well, because I think this is the type of thing, boys, when we get done with it, you're going to see like sweat dripping off of pores. I think it's going to be like that well lit. I think it's going to be that prepared for the live audience and the virtual audience. I think it's only going to be an improvement from the way I see it. Joe, you performed in front of a lot of really well-produced venues. Other side of that coin, you performed in some bare minimum venues. How is the Historic El Rey, specifically with these improvements we're making, how is that ranking for you in your 27-year career?
It is way, way up the list. I've worked I can only think of a few shows that even closely compared, and these are shows that were in Coliseums, things like that, with a huge budget and a lot of years behind it. So I'm so proud of our production value, especially out of the gate, and then everything just keeps getting better. We talked about the merchandise a few minutes ago, Fred. I'm just gonna touch on that one more time. That's something I've seen over the years. I've gone to all these countless different promotions. It's hard. People don't understand. It's not easy to get merchandise made. You can go online, you can order it, but you're either stuck buying, one style of t-shirt and you're having to pay for this bulk price. It can be very cost prohibitive to get like multiple different items. We have a really unique relationship that we've set up now, which is affording us the opportunity to, we have hats. They're different hats. We have different styles of hats. We have different styles of hoodies, all these different things. And even the ability to do, custom things and drop ships. And that's stuff I have never seen anybody pull it off ever. And here we are, show number 2, and we're going to have that already rolled out. So I'm just excited that we've been able to leverage all these different relationships to get to the level we're at so fast.
Chris, do you feel a little bit like we're living in the future? Do you feel like a little bit it's coming together the way that you thought it would? Do you feel like maybe the cart is in front of the horse in some places? Like, what is your overall takeaway from the last 3-ish months process since you've joined the ownership group of Duke City Championship Wrestling?
Well, I say everything that I feel. So you and I got we got to talk to a legend in the business, Jimmy Hart,
right,
a couple of weeks ago. And Jimmy said, you know, that independent wrestling is the lifeblood of pro wrestling because these are the future stars. And that really put it into perspective for me. Like, you know, you come out on a Saturday night, you pay $20-$30 for a ticket, and you're going to see the people that are going to be on TV. So for me, like being a part of this seems like I'm being a part of history. And it's like, it's really been amazing to see everybody work and all the different like components. It's like an engine. Every person is a different part of the engine running, you know, and every part is needed to make the engine run smooth. So it's been pretty amazing to see.
And I'll tell you what's interesting. You mentioned the $20 for a GA, and I think is it all the way up to 40 for ringside? Is that right, boys? So that money doesn't go in like my pocket or your pocket or Joe's pocket or Aaron's pocket, who's also on the ownership group. That goes back into the product.
Right.
Like, and I don't know if we've done maybe a well enough job of communicating just what this is and what it's for. The idea is we have a plan. We have a full-fledged effort for 1 year of this product to take every dollar that comes in and reinvest it in the product.
Right.
And we're going to do that. And then if in 1 year from now, we're in a place where we say, hey, this thing's really financially viable and we're going to do a really good job and we're going to do it forever, then we're going to figure out a way to make sure we make a little bit of money off of it. If we get to the point in 1 year where we can't, we're going to have to find a way to supplement that missing cost. And we're doing that, right? So we're meeting with partners regularly. We have a big meeting tomorrow. We just met with a big sponsor the other day. We have a huge meeting on Friday. On July 15th, we will debut sponsors for this program that we're not on episode 1 of the program. We're not on the live event 1 of the program because people are so very excited about being a part of it. The number of interviews I've done is the foremost wrestling expert here in town. Joe, you're about to do an interview with the college paper right after this broadcast. Like there is just so many media outlets. There's so much interest in it that I'm impressed. I'm flabbergasted and I'm excited. Speaking of, Fonzie is excited to get new shirts. So I promise you, Joe will hook you up with our connection on that, Fonzie. That is the Albuquerque Duke store is tremendous. Albuquerque Dukes is a really good New Mexico brand. It was the baseball team for since 76? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Since 1976 here in Albuquerque, retired in 2002. And then obviously the Albuquerque Ice Tips took over. But yeah, we're so excited to be partnered with them. We're producing locally. We're selling locally. The only aspect of this product that is not local is the ring bell that Joe bought on Amazon. That is it.
Pretty much. Yeah. You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, Fred. Just the format of this business. The majority of companies I've worked for over the years, and then there's been a lot. I mean, I've literally wrestled for 50 companies, 45, I mean, possibly more. I lost track.
Right.
But the majority of those companies were, you know, one guy with a lot of passion who literally drained his bank account. And
yeah.
You know, in some cases I've seen second mortgages on homes and things like that. I mean, just really huge reach for the star type of actions. And without a solid plan, of course, it fails. You know, just give it time and it's going to fall under. We have done everything different. Everything about this company is completely different. There's 4 owners, not one. Like Chris eloquently put earlier, it's 4 parts of an engine. We all have our own lanes that we work in. Do we crisscross, intersect, and check in? Yes.
Yeah.
But do we allow each of us to do what it is that we do well, and just trust in one another? Yeah, that's the way this works. None of us have, you know, have we all spent some money to get going? Yes. But have we put ourselves in any kind of financial strain? No. We're being very, very disciplined and intelligent about this process so that we can continue to run, you know, for this year and we'll continue to make adjustments to the business plan as we go. So, you know, I think we said it a couple months ago, you know, I think wrestling's in pretty good hands. That's what I mean by it. We can keep this thing going. We are going to need support. We continue to need support from the fans, from our local vendor partners and you know, just everybody who likes, shares, subscribes.
That's so important.
That's huge. That is what will keep us going.
Mhm.
But you know, as far as, you know, are we getting rich off this thing? No, we're not just sucking your money and throw it in our pockets. We're just trying to get this bigger, better, more sustainable, and so we can bring it to you for years to come.
I have the Chase bill to prove that we're not getting rich yet. Like I physically have it. There are some little goals though, right? And we're about I don't know, 45 seconds away from having to wrap this thing up. But I mean, before the end of this calendar year, I want Hobo Hank on a billboard. You know what I mean? Like there are little goals to where if we hit certain milestones along the way, I know we're getting there, and I'm excited for it. And that's digital media as well, right? It's X amount of followers, it's X amount of interactions, it's the website like being at a standard that we're super excited for. It's the in-ring production being at a standard we're excited for. There's just so much opportunity here, and almost you can get blinded by excitement. Almost there's so much excitement that you can't possibly see what you got to do. So sometimes it's best to step back and stand in the shade and identify what is next and do that thing and move on to the next goal. So yeah, a lot of fun here, a lot of positivity. And the second show, I hope feels just as good as the first show. And I hope the critiques come in just as passionately and just as strongly because I want them. I yearn for them.
Agreed. Well said.
Agreed.
July 15th, dccwtickets.com. Go and get yours before they're not yours, before they become someone else's, because that's the kind of thing that will happen. Also, tell a friend, bring a friend, do that thing. We want to expose it to those who haven't yet, and we want to remind people of what it once was. So we're excited to have everyone there anew and not. If you see me, you will. I'm the tallest guy in the building. Come say hi to me. I really appreciate it. If you see Chris Burnett, come say hi to Chris Burnett. He really appreciates it. Bet you won't see Hobo Hank until the main event. But after that, come say hi to him. I know he'll really appreciate it. Final words, boys, before we cut episode 3 short?
Tell your friends, drag them in. I think I said last week, if 3 people going to a WWE show doesn't mean a lot to them, but if you bring 3 friends to ours, that's a percent of our crowd. So just keep bringing people we can introduce to this world. And Fonzie says it. Yeah, I need 200 people to buy tickets to see me. Agreed. We want to. My vision is I want to see 500. I'd like to see 500 in the El Rey in a relatively short period of time, and I think we can get there.
Yeah.
I think. Realistically, I'm thinking by January, February, we should be able to see that number. Yeah. So, but we've got to have the support of the people to get there.
Every day, someone. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Every day, somebody goes, "Hey, do you guys still have tickets left?" And I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "Oh, I should buy that." Go do, because every time I look, there's more and more gone, and then it'll be the day of, and people are gonna, you're gonna hit me up, and I'll be like, nothing I can do. There are no tickets left.
That's just all gone. Sorry for you.
You can sit outside and listen.
For Hobo Hank, for the commish, Chris Burnett, I obviously am Freddie Fame. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in episode 3 of The Real Show. Chris, thank you for joining us for your first episode.
Yeah,
a lot of fun having a third voice in with us. Do not forget, July the 15th at the historic El Rey Theater. Tickets are available at dccwtickets.com. Also, all your updates, DukeCityChampionshipWrestling.com. All the social media outlets. You saw it on the ticker below. Go ahead and give anything access that you want to give access. We'll be back next week. One last episode before we're live from the historic El Rey Theater, boys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone. GG.